All right, welcome to wasmCloud Wednesday for September the 22nd. We've got a couple things to kick off today, and we'll start with a quick call to action on a documentation review. So we are zeroing in on the .050 release that we've been excited about for the last few months. And we've got documentation pretty much over the hill and ready to go here. So we're going to go ahead and cut this this week as we just dot the I's and cross the T's on the release. We think the Mac and the Windows, or the Mac and the Linux side are pretty well tested. And we are still working through dotting some I's and crossing some T's on the Windows side. So just a quick call to action. If you have some time and you can come in and start running through some of the templates here, filing any pull requests, or if you find any bugs or notes, that would be awesome. Kevin, Brooks, any other call outs on the documentation?
I guess the only other thing, if we post this link in our Slack channel afterwards, then I'll also come in and post where you can download like the gzip tarball for Linux and Mac, so you can easily just extract that and run through the examples.
Okay, that would be awesome. If there's a quick little getting started there, that would be super helpful. So next up on the list is just a quick glance at the board. We feel like at the end of this week, we are, essentially release candidate ready for wasmCloud 0.50. We're going to schedule the official release party for the first week in October. So look for an announcement sometime around an invite for Wednesday, October the 6th, where we're going to run through demos of all the new features. We'll do an online event. And then for folks that come to the call, we'll do maybe a bourbon tasting afterwards, a little hangout and celebration party for us. So long overdue on that. Kevin, Brooks, is there anything that's still hanging out here on the product backlog that we would want to chit chat through here?
No, I don't think there's anything really major. There's most of the stuff that's left in there is just minor issues, things, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, making sure that it's all buttoned up and ready. We don't have any new features we're still working on or anything like that.
Okay. All right. Brooks, anything you'd mention on the roadmap or any calls to action here?
Nope, not that I can think of. It's all looking really good.
All right. Well, I think one of the new things that we're working on for the 0.50 release has been a new reference demo to give people something more weighty to walk through. And what we elected to do was to build out a version of the old Java Pet Store app to help highlight the value props on boilerplate reduction and ease of use. So Kaushik, I think for the pet shop demo, you have been working on a bit of a UI to kind of, help show people all the pieces all working together in a full reference application. I think you have the ability to share your screen if you want to give us a quick preview on, the kind of MVP, that experience that we're looking here. The goal being that we'll get something out the door as a reference application, and then it'll give us a starting place to continue to make this more complex.
Yep, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Can you guys see the Pet Shop Clinic UI?
Yep.
So I'm just gonna refresh. Right now, this is all fake data. I'm working with Kevin on actually hooking it up to the API, but just to show the actual UI, just kind of got some fake data in here. So it shows the owners, the vets, and I still have to work on the pet types and the specialties, but those are in progress. With the owners, you can add an owner. I'll just give myself a fake address and a fake phone number. So once I add an owner, it gets populated in the table. I can go inside the owner. I can see the pets, or I can edit the owner, which I'll just do a quick edit. When I save it, it gets updated in there. So I'll add a pet. I'll just call it Sparky. I'll give it a birth date of, let's see, August 4th, and it's a dog. So when I save it, it shows the pet in the right-hand side. I can add another one just to show you how it looks. I'll call it sport. Oh, and then just give it another birthday. And this one's a hamster. So it just shows you how the list is populated. You can also edit the pet just in case you want to change the name or something. And then the visits, when you click in the visits, it shows you if no visits have been scheduled, it's just an empty list, and it gives you the description, an ability to add a visit. I'm just going to put in the test and then the date of yesterday. And then when you add it, it gets populated in the list below. So I'll just add another one. Add the visit. So that's pretty much the general idea. Pretty much have to work with Kevin on linking it up to the API and finishing out the pet types and the specialty screens. But that's overall the Pet Shop Clinic demo. It uses Tailwind CSS, and then I'm using the Create React app to scaffold everything, just because it's probably the fastest way to get things done. But that's pretty much it. Any questions? Anything that anyone wants to see?
Yeah, and I just linked the source. This is in the wasmCloud examples repo for anybody that wants to follow along with the API or the interface development as it's out there. So we hope that this is going to be a good demo that we can continue to build out and add features to, instrumentation, Prometheus down the road, all the things that we'd like to introduce from a value props perspective. This can be a good starting point. And we like that it gives us something to compare to that a lot of people that are Java developers will be familiar with this conceptually and really be able to illustrate and see the value props for how accelerated and streamlined development is with wasmCloud versus taking another approach with different frameworks. Any thoughts or suggestions on this? Stuart, do you think that this might be something that orgs would be find helpful as they kind of look at a potential journey or what the improvements might be?
It looks great. It's really good. And I think having a real working example of something is actually invaluable.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. And then Kasha, if you want to drop your screen share, I'll just share real quick.
Yep. There you go.
Great, main screen. And Kevin has been, just knocking this out here, and really had some thoughts about what is our developer experience like in building out these various APIs here as we've kind of stitched this together. So kind of dogfooding this ourselves a bit with the new 0.50 experience has been, I think, an invaluable part of this experience. And what is it really like to build an application? So I hope that we can capture these learnings, Kevin, and feed them back into the development roadmap so that we continue to streamline and simplify the experience here for people as we put this together. Kevin, was there anything you wanted to add about your experience in building the reference app here?
No, I mean, I think the important thing is that it's a real application. It's not Hello World, but it's also not a super giant application. So it's bite-sized enough to be digestible. So if you were to try and find out, well, how do I do this, or what about this particular scenario when I'm trying to build my app, this should serve as a decent reference. The UI is certainly not supposed to be breathtaking, nor is the back end, but it does show some decent patterns where, we have an actor that is exposing a pseudo RESTful interface using an HTTP server capability provider, and it's talking to so-called back-end actors over actor-to-actor comms. And so there's a couple of fairly common patterns that are going to be illustrated by this sample.
Okay. Do you think that we can, or we should pull these into the documentation as we get them flushed out as examples, like point people and say, hey, here's an example of actor calls, for example?
Yep. There is a section of the documentation called reference apps that will, link to these type of applications specifically for that purpose.
Okay, all right, that's sweet. And then Stuart, I know that I already broached with you the idea of getting your incredible demo merged in somewhere into the official org. Did you guys we can take it offline if you want to discuss it later, but if we feel like the work is presentable enough, the having seen your submission for WASM Day, I think people are going to love it. So I think if we want to merge it in, I think it would be a welcome addition to the project to show people patterns and inspiration for what they could do with wasmCloud.
Yeah, I mean, more than happy to transfer the repo over. I think when we get the lattice controller and the operator going, we can remove some of the scripts that are running in the background that are just keeping the wasmCloud hosts configured correctly. But yeah, definitely.
Okay, and I think that's maybe a good bridge point. Janet, how are things coming with the wasmCloud Kubernetes operator? I know you've been really engaged in it the last few weeks, and I think this is a huge part of our Better Together story for compatible with Kubernetes. How's the work coming? Any calls to action?
So David and Ayush and I met earlier this morning, UK time, afternoon, I suppose, for us. Well, actually, the other way around. Sorry, my morning, your evening. Yeah, and I think the changes that I had in mind, or that I actually done in the pull request that was there as a demo, has been incorporated. So the finalizer is being used, to delete actually works, to create works. The lifecycle looks good. They've created a fake NAT server, or lattice control, I should say, that lets anybody clone it and run the test as well. So that's a good, very, very good starting point for any further or future work that we want to do. But they will do a demo when they're back next week on what they've done so far.
Okay, all right, that's awesome. Well, that was what we've got going on. Looking ahead at community events, we will schedule the release party for maybe 4 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday the 6th. We'll actually put all that on Twitter, and we're going to host a live event where we're going to walk through all the new features of wasmCloud 0.50, the pet shop demo, and talk about a few of the various new things that are there, like wasmCloud JS. And if we're ready, perhaps even the Kubernetes operator, or we can just preview it then. Our previous events, we've had 50, 60 people show up. So I'm hoping that we get some good attendance, especially leading into KubeCon. For KubeCon, we have a couple phenomenal things going on. One of our community members, Taylor, will be presenting at the Rejects conference on Saturday. So our conference session officially kicks off on Saturday the 9th. As we turn into the week, we've got WASM Day on Tuesday the 12th, which we've got a number of talks there that will be highlighted and promoting wasmCloud. And then wasmCloud will be represented at the Cosmonic booth during the conference. During the week, there's a few floors. Both I and Taylor will be in the booth. I do have some extra tickets for folks in the community if they would like. I'm happy to share registration codes or discounts for registration codes for participation online and in person. And then we've got a wasmCloud talk. I think I'm speaking on Wednesday afternoon, which will be a regular session talk where we're going to go through, sort of the whole intro experience around what are our goals, what are we trying to do here in our community, and go from there. So a lot of great activity. We continue to have major household names show up and reach out to us through various channels, which is super exciting just from an activity point of view. And I'm continuing to try to drive these to reference implementations or case studies or things along those lines. Any other community events that we should talk about or mention on the call today? There are a bunch of podcasts coming up. Taylor, you're on one that records on October the 1st, right?
Yep.
Okay, and we'll
Yeah,
get that
I'm on the, it's the Kube list, I believe is what it'll be on.
Okay, on the Kube list. And then Stuart, you and I are on Jack's something or other that records on the 24th. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's something this Thursday with New Stack, is there?
And there may very well be. We've got like our content calendar is getting pretty full. I'll drop some links in the Slack after I touch base with the PR team. I may be a little behind on what's scheduled. We do have an article coming out that was accepted in New Stack. There was an article that showed up on Friday, which was a wasmCloud crash course, which I loved. And I've got an article called WebAssembly, the Future of Distributed Computing, that talks a little bit about wasmCloud, that's scheduled to be published here in the next few weeks. I don't know that I have a date back on it yet, or I know what the date is. So again, a ton of great excitement for just raising the bar and getting more people interested in what we're doing here. Open floor, I guess. Anyone have other topics they wanted to introduce today? All right, so I think we're all just heads down on our last two priorities right now, which are get 0.50 out the door and then finish up the pet shop demo so that we've got that as talking points for our online events. And I'm going to try to get a release party announced maybe late tonight or early tomorrow, just on Twitter and with the registration form and all that. It'll all be hosted on Livestorm, and we can continue to pull up from there. We'll also drop like a new swag order form and all those other things for folks to restock on t-shirts and all that. I need to spend some time on design, or if anybody's interested in going and creating some more designs, help is more than welcome. It's kind of fun to go to Custom Ink and pick out the swag store. That's all. We'll all be sponsored again, of course, just for getting all that stuff shipped and ordered. All right. Anything else this week? All right. Well, I'm going to go stop recording and we can hang out. It's a quick meeting today. Cheers.